Like to call the meeting to order on October 23rd at 5:03 p.m. Public participation. Did we have anyone, Anne?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay. Next on the list, I don't see anyone just join the meeting or anything. Nope. Abatements, number 3.
Yeah, so we have one, if everyone doesn't mind, I'd like to just review.
Sure.
So it's actually an old one. It was a gentleman at One Cottage Street sold his house to his daughter last October. And he was very upset about the high bill that he received for that summer's usage. And it was very high. It was definitely the highest he had ever received. It was at 4,000 and 2,000 cubic feet. So the issue, we had reviewed it, and he didn't have any. We had him check his toilets. We had him check everything, no leaks. We actually replaced the meter, checked the meter out down at the water department. Nothing wrong with the meter. Very old, so probably very slow. But it's 6 bedrooms, four and a half baths. It's 2 to 4 units, so there's a rental property going on there. The gentleman's wife passed away, and then he sold the house to his daughter, and that's when he did the final, and he paid the final so that could go through and all that. But he's looking for an abatement, but he has a pool and he does garden, but he didn't do it that summer, he said. Now, last summer was rainy. So we had initially denied his abatement. So he asked us if we would bring it forward to the advisory council. So here we are.
Okay. Did he have any like plumbers or anybody check anything that he had, turned into you guys, any slips or anything?
No, there's we have no backup. He has no explanation of why it's so high. We did a little checking. We don't have a good, besides that the summer was very wet. I mean, very dry last summer.
I'm looking at the property, assuming I'm looking at the right thing on Street View, and he has like no yard.
So in the back, he has a pool.
Yeah, it's just like
The
it
front has
doesn't.
definitely no place to water.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like, and the side is like a slope, like that you would never water. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it was an overwatering issue. Um,
I
seems a
mean,
little weird, but
4.5 baths. I mean, could one of the toilets be not, working correctly?
We had suggested that. He said no, that we had no leaks, but he does have tenants. So nothing against tenants, but sometimes they don't care as much as the owner does.
Right.
and what was the cost of the high bill?
21 59.63.
And what were his typical bills?
His typical bill, his bills run a little crazy, I think, because there are tenants in there. So let me just tell you what the last. Sorry. Typical bill, $8.99, 623, 717, around that dollar amount.
I mean, I just don't know on what basis we would give any sort of an abatement. Like, it doesn't sound like he doesn't think there's anything that was not functioning properly. He doesn't have any explanation where the water went. Did we like check the meter? I mean, I know you said it was a final.
Yeah, so we did replace the meter. Steve took the meter back. He was like, all checks out. He's like, it's an old meter, definitely needed to be changed, but that usually slows down, not speed up.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, lots of variables there with the amount of bathrooms, and I don't know, is it an in-ground pool or above ground?
From the picture, it does look like an in-ground pool, but hard to say because I'm just looking from above.
Water can leak from a pool too, even if it's slightly.
We even suggested, could the tenants have filled the pool? Like, because last summer was very warm and whatever. And he was like, no, I'm over there quite often, but
Yeah, I mean, there's not really any backup for us to go off of that would, make you consider an abatement, even a plumber's bill or anything checking it out. It's kind of hard to just give an abatement away.
And I'll be honest with you, I did try to get him to go that route. Like, I'm like, get a plumber if you can find a leaky toilet, or you can find something you had to fix. And he's like, nope, it's all been checked out. Because that would have helped us a little bit if he did find a toilet, we could. I said that will work for you, not against you.
Yeah, just with the amount of bathrooms that are there, that'd be the first thing I'd check.
Yeah.
Not often, a house with 4.5 bathrooms.
And his usage just went back down after that.
Yeah, it went almost back down to what his regular fall was.
Yeah.
When I try to compare it though, last summer was one of our best summers for people using water. It was everybody's bill that watered outside was high.
Right.
So I don't know if the tenants were watering and he didn't know it, or putting a garden in. He doesn't live at that property. He does live around the corner though, very close, like, 8 houses down on another street. So I do think he checks on it.
I feel bad just denying it, but I think that's our only option really, because I mean, if we start approving them with basically no backup and no reasoning.
We'd have a busy meeting.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, so
Okay, so I'm just gonna send him, I'll call him tomorrow and then send him a letter just saying, without backup, we have nothing to support an abatement.
should we have to take a vote on that?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think we should probably vote.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to deny the abatement request for, was it 1 Cottage Street?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll second that as well. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you.
Sometimes
That's our only abatement for this evening.
okay. Okay, policy discussion, number 4 on the agenda.
Okay, so here is a little bit of preview of some of the things to come. You remember when we went to the rate hearing last year? The council asked us to review again the moratorium on irrigation meters.
Mhm.
This time a little bit differently than how we've done it in the past. If you remember in the memos that we send out every time we review this, which is essentially every other year, we always say that, we would have to put together some sort of operating plan and policy together. So they've asked us to go through that exercise. During that time, I had informed them that we would probably work on that in the fall and bring it back to them sometime after the first of the year, just so we could see a couple of cycles through the billing and things like that, and then kind of be able to use some of that in what will ultimately be some forecasting that we'll have to do to see if you do the financial reaction to that is X. So with that being said, I just wanted to talk about that. We've kicked off on this end, and what I envision is our staff here kind of throwing a whole bunch of stuff together, and then a bunch of revisions back and forth between the advisory board and our staff here. And essentially, what we've gone through is we've started to do an identification exercise. So we've gone through everything holistically that a change in the moratorium may impact, or maybe close enough that we thought we should take a look at it. One of the things that we thought we would end up wanting to do with the board is put together an official recommendation for an abatement policy. So kind of like what we were just going through, right? Putting something so a resident can fill out the paperwork and they know kind of exactly what the board is looking for. Some things they could do to kind of self-start the process should they have a valid claim that can make a more informed decision on this end. So some of the things related to that we've been talking about on this side, obviously domestic water. We will have to touch on irrigation, as we do in part of the policy piece. The other piece we were talking about here, currently now, if you have a building permit for installing a pool, you can file to fill out an abatement for the sewer on the fill up. one of the things that covers is complete liner replacements, essentially. It's been something that's been happening, I think, since the Board of Public Works, because your father might have been on the board when they started doing that way back when. So those are a couple things related to abatements. So now, you know, the wheels are spinning. We're starting to think about things. We're going through old documents, and one of the things that'll naturally come up as part of the irrigation review is, you know, the policy on theft. And I can tell you that here, that hasn't been updated since 2004. So that's something that we probably need to bring up with the times a little bit. I know that it is not in parallel with what Mass General Law says right now. So that's one of the things we want to look at. And then obviously, you know, how that related to an irrigation, you know, deduct meter or whatever the policy states, how that'll kind of function together. One thing with that we're probably going to end up wanting to talk about too is, so we noticed that in our construction standards, we have past practice of identification of who is responsible for what when it comes to water and sewer services. But we don't have that written anywhere. So what we want to do is establish that and put it in writing so it's more transparent. Couple of things I'll start talking. I'm sure Elena and I will jump, you know, 2 feet into it, but compliance with the lead and copper rule and some of the things we have to do related to that. You know, there are some things we'd like to see happening to make us in a more advantageous spot, you know, should the regulators change things for us moving on down the road. So I have a couple more, but I know I said a mouthful, so I didn't know if anybody wanted to stop and kind of pick any of that apart for the moment, or should I keep going?
I'm good for right now. I don't know
Yeah.
if we have to dive into each one now, or is it kind of we'll set up something, kind of go through each one, I'm assuming, right?
No, so what we'll do on this end is we've been starting to kind of compile all this together and put thoughts down on paper with suggestions, you know, option A, option B, turn left, turn right type of deal. Then we'll send that to the board. I would imagine, as long as you're not replying all in the emails, you all can send your comments to me as discussion points and vice versa. And then the subsequent meeting, you know, we can start to pick different tasks depending on what we have and then start developing those. The big part of it.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think it would be helpful for us to get maybe a copy of what exists now in terms of bylaws or, you know, water and sewer regulations, and anything that we already have. Maybe that gives us a little jumping off point where we can start reviewing what exists.
So one of the things that we're doing, Elena, is going through all that now. We're going to actually highlight it and pin different things. So things that we want to talk about or that might get referenced in what we have versus what may or may not change, we can focus onto it. We don't spend a lot of time like regulations and things like that. You know, you could read on and on and on and on about things that aren't necessarily pertinent to this. We want to fast track it and give you what's applicable. That way you're not wasting your time and we could stay on task, because some of it can, I know for the engineers and construction people, some of it's interesting, but some of it can be very dry too. So we don't want to
Sounds good.
any of that. Essentially though, this whole exercise is going to be developing the mechanics of what a moratorium reversal will be, and how our group here will manage that. So currently we have some legacy accounts out there. At the time this was last allowed, you actually had to have your own separate service coming into the house for irrigation. So there'll be some back and forth discussion on whether or not that stays true, or whether or not that will turn into something where residents may be eligible to install a deduct meter. Essentially, it's a meter after the main meter of the house that deducts out the sewer for anything that's used outside. We have to talk about some things related to sump pumps, you know, what compliance might look like. So who is eligible, or who would be eligible, who wouldn't be eligible, how often do we want to inspect things, ownership of the meters, et cetera, et cetera. So I'll also send, I know I have some information I could probably get from Melrose, but I'll send some other peer communities too, of some things you can kind of get an idea of some of the things that exist out there. You know, we don't need to be, you know, anything other than fair, I would think, and what works for us. But I'll make sure that there's plenty of enough examples sent out to everyone, so at least you get an idea of what we think is going to work for Wakefield versus what's kind of the temperature of everything out there in the state of Massachusetts.
Sounds good.
Outside of that, so that is basically that's it in a nutshell. So what it'll end up being is probably sometime by the end of the week you'll get the first round of things. You'll get the theft policy, and then you'll get a highlighted version. It should be in searchable PDF. That way you can look at some of the things that we're talking about there. We'll also come up with from the town staff some of the goals that we're looking to accomplish during this exercise. Feel free to review, send me back whatever you have, and we can put together kind of a working list of tasks to kind of get this generated and put something together that we can ultimately present. I would imagine that when this exercise is over, we'll probably end up dovetailing it into the spring's rate discussion. I think it'll be advanced of it a little earlier, just in case there is a vote to reverse this or to change it. We want to make sure that we're ready and in the best position, because then coming June we're going to have to set a potential rate. Whether or not we create a separately established irrigation rate, whether it runs through the tier structure now. Those are all things to be decided, but it will be one small additional layer of analysis that we'll have to do at that time. Luckily for us, we went through it the last time that we talked on the subject. So I think Matt is aware that at some point in time we're going to ask him to run some numbers through kind of the labyrinth of spreadsheets that he has related to our enterprises, but we should be in good shape. So it should be fun. It should be interesting. I'm sure we'll all probably learn a lot, including myself. And what else she wrote there?
Sounds like you have some homework to do.
Plenty. It's all good though. It's been honestly been a long time coming.
Yeah, it's good. I feel like it's stuff that hasn't been reviewed in a while, talked about it. It's good when a bunch of people could brainstorm about it and maybe sharpen it and improve it.
Yeah, it's always been very like 10,000 foot. So we're looking to drop that and kind of get a little bit more into it.
Okay. And does anyone have anything to add? Okay.
No.
Number 5 on our list, new business. Anything else new in the going on?
So I was just going to have a quick update. 2 things. One is we're working again with Black Earth and the Environmental Sustainability Committee to do the pumpkin drop off again. It'll be on November 9th. All the elementaries bring your pumpkin, throw it in the back. Part of the fun, I think, is throwing it into the truck, I believe. Most people enjoy that part of it. So that'll happen again this year. And then I'm not sure if we talked about it, but we have a metal dumpster down at the pit now. So instead of when people come in and they have a bed frame or a file cabinet, barbecue grill, we're sending them to the pit instead of buying a sticker. So one, it saves them $20, which people seem very appreciative, but also the metal dumpster seems to be working out well because we're averaging about $175, $200 a week in metal. So
Nice.
people have really taken advantage of it. Now they're getting to know it. Now people call us and say, hey, what about, I got 2 rakes, a pan, and some silverware. Can I throw it in there? And we're saying, sure, put it in. It's great. So it's been, I think, wildly successful, even more than we probably anticipated. So that part's been great.
Yeah, I've used that metal dumpster myself. It was smooth and easy. Drive in, pull back up right to it, throw your metal in, and have a good day.
Awesome.
It's
Excellent.
very, very easy to use.
I think related to that, anything that you might get as a dividend greater than 0 is certainly appreciated. But even at 0, you're still saving about $102 a ton or $98 a ton from sending it to the incinerator. So as we can take advantage of those opportunities, we'll try to divert whatever we can. This one seems like a relative no-brainer, and pulled a grant to cover the can. So the amount of effort involved is, I'd say, relatively minimum. It doesn't take too long to get back and forth, to drop it off. So it's so far a win-win.
So we have a grant to pay for the cost of the the dumpster itself? Is that what you said?
Yeah, we got a grant, recycling dividends.
Nice.
That basically covered the price of the dumpster, so.
Wow.
Yeah,
And
so
the-
this year's dividend, we got $16,900. Best we've gotten. So
Wow. Now, does that just go back into like a general fund? What do they do with the funds? Where does that usually go?
So we have in the past, this is, some of these grants are what, remember, we were sponsoring, or we still are actually sponsoring the starter kits for Black Earth. So this grant allows that. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ann, I think, these grants paid for the cardboard dumpster as well.
correct. We also paid for the Black Earth pickup at the food pantry. The yearly subscription for the food pantry.
And then anything in addition to that, so every once in a while, the toters that are out there, the original ones, they were put out, in the earlier part of 2013 ish. Some of them are starting to show their age, so this allows us to, if we get one that we can't repair, we will actually replace it. So it's really allowed us to kind of do that without having to seek out an appropriation or anything like that. So as long as the DEP wants to keep letting us apply and giving us money to do this, we're going to put it in every time.
Yeah, you don't want to be leaving money on the table, that's for sure.
No. Because when you're looking for it, it might not be there.
You'd say that again. Okay. Anyone else have anything to add?
I got another one. So Town Day, if nobody has any comments on that, obviously got rained out. So we didn't have anything. One of the things you'll probably see on the town's website, we were going to actually name our new dump truck. So we were going to put it out to the elementary age kids and let them suggest a name for it. And then our staff here, the board can certainly weigh into, we'll pick, what we see as our favorites and then put it up online and put it to a vote. And I think, Ann, whoever the youngster is that wins this gets a
$25 gift card, right?
pretty close replica of a
Yeah.
winter truck, a plow and a sander, and then a gift card of their choice to some local establishment, whether it be ice cream or something to eat, whatever that might
Great
be.
idea.
So we're looking forward to it. Some of them that I've heard from people walking through the office are pretty funny. So I'm sure we're just scratching the surface on that. So that'll be something that's cute, and we'll end up labeling the truck at some point in time and putting it out there. So
I can't wait to see what the kids come up with. It's always funny, but
Joe, we did a plow naming contest at DPW Day this year. And so now we're looking into how to put a wrap or something on a plow blade that says Sir Plows a lot. That was our winner.
I like it.
yeah, man, there have been some good ones. I think the one that gets me to laugh all the time was Melton John. That one was pretty good.
that is a good one.
I won't say it because I don't want anybody to not get credit for it, but there's some Wakefield centric ones too that are actually real good. And they fit perfectly. So we'll see what happens.
That's cool.
Great.
Okay.
And so this is the last thing I got. Town meeting this year. 7 articles, none of which are being sponsored by us. I do anticipate that coming in the spring, we probably will have a handful like we always do. As we get, probably after the holidays, we'll start to go through some of that, fill you in on some of the things we got going there. But it'll be relatively quiet in that regard on the 18th. So there's really nothing to review here. We got plenty of work to do. We're just gonna keep on going before the winter sets in and we have to kind of slow down and pivot.
Nice. And one thing to add too, I know you guys have a lot of there'll be a lot of info coming and different policy stuff to go through too. If we have to make a meeting just to kind of go through some of the policy stuff and an extra meeting or something, we can do that too if we don't want to cram it all into one night. And I'm sure it will get late if you did
This
that.
will probably function if I had a crystal ball, I'd say just like the rate setting process.
Yeah.
We're not getting anything done on the first night, probably not the second. It'll take a couple to get through it. We want to make sure that we spend, whatever is the appropriate amount of time on this so that we're not left wondering anything or feeling like we kind of may have missed something in the process as it advances. So, the timeline is suggested, but if we need more time, that's totally fine to make sure that we, get what we're doing right.
Okay.
So if we don't have any articles for the meeting, I assume we don't have to go. I plan on going either way anyway, but I assume we do go to the one where we have articles, correct?
Usually, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
so I would suggest that to anybody. I certainly do to my staff. I mean, you're voting on town budget and different things like that, and especially where sometimes attendance can be quite a bit, sometimes attendance cannot be quite a bit. A couple of people here or there could make the difference in something going forward or not. This time around, you'll be listening to a whole bunch of presentations that don't involve myself. At least I don't think, or I'm not anticipating that. But should it, we'll go from there.
Awesome. Well, again, I plan on being there, but I was just curious. So thank you.
And that'll be at the Galvin it's 8 o'clock, I think.
Yep.
7.
Yeah, 8 a.m. I believe. Yep, on the 18th.
Yep.
Okay. Number 6, next meeting. We want to look at a date. You're gonna do something in November, or
I know that the holidays chop November up a little funky, but we could. And actually, if we want to think about it, did anything strike anybody that I had mentioned before, in particular, that they might want to see sooner than later? Maybe, maybe we have a meeting and I'll send you construction standards in our old 2004 theft policy, and then some of the pool abatement paperwork. We can kind of review it. We can talk about, how it functions as it exists, some of the pains or positives that we have with the way it's constructed, and then kind of lay out a roadmap of how to look through that. But that's just an idea. I'm talking out loud here.
okay.
That's fine. I know for me, this Monday's at 5. This works fantastic if it works for everybody else as well.
Yeah,
I'm-
this is good for me too.
yeah, same for me. Tuesday morning, it can change your week if you get a phone call. Usually Mondays aren't that bad.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, I don't know how long you guys need for some of that information, but I don't know if you need the whole month of November to get it ready, and then we have something early in December before Christmas, or if you want to, when's Thanksgiving's what, the 23rd, right? So then you got that's what, a Thursday. I mean, you got a couple weeks before then too. You got the 6th, the 13th, the 20th.
As far as lead time for me, to get you everything, I can have everything to you by probably Wednesday. Tomorrow looks like it end up setting up to be busy, but then I guess just understanding that everybody has work and personal life and family and all that. I would just personally default to however long you need to kind of take a look at it and be relatively comfortable with what gets sent out.
You guys, I mean, my fellow board members can tell me too, if does 2 weeks kind of help you to kind of digest stuff, and then kind of set up a meeting? We get it this week, maybe 2 or 3 weeks from now, so you kind of get a second to digest it. I mean, I don't have kids, you guys might have children and stuff, so your lives might be a little more busy than mine, but certainly go around whatever you guys think.
Yeah, I'm just looking now. I'm thinking, let's see.
And obviously I don't want to interfere with Thanksgiving or anything like that. I'm sure the days before get a little hectic. Maybe the 13th. I'm looking.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, if I look at the 13th, I think the 13th, maybe even I'm just looking at the 6th as well. So I'm looking at my work calendar, and then I look at my family calendar here, which I know there's probably everyone's doing this. Let's see.
Either one of those dates works for me.
Yeah, actually, believe the 6th might be easier, but I don't know if that's exactly 2 weeks. If we need 3 weeks, then we could do the 13th. So I could do either as well. And I can do the 20th also. I know that is Thanksgiving
Same.
week, but so
Yeah, I can do any of them as of right now. My schedule's always all over the place, but and in terms of like reviewing stuff in advance, the reality of my life is that I'll review it in the 2 days before, regardless of when the meeting is. So,
I would say most of it, Elena, you're probably gonna look at super quick and know exactly where we stand, so.
okay. Yeah, so I'm fine with any of the dates. Maybe the 13th gives us a little more time, but if the 6th is better for people, I'm free then too.
Yeah, both dates work for me. So if Shane, if you have a tougher day on the 13th and you'd rather the 6th, I just want to make sure we have enough time to review everything and give Joe's office enough time to get us everything over. I know they, it might take a couple days, but they could run into something else or something. So
yeah.
I'm either date 6th or the 13th or the 20th.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking let's do the 6th, and if something comes up for somebody, we could always move it. But I'm the same. I'll get it reviewed before then, so that won't be a problem. But yeah, if that works for everyone.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yep.
So why don't we do the 6th, November 6th, and if we have to as a backup, we could do the 13th.
I like it.
Okay.
Then 5 p.m. is okay for everybody.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anyone else have anything? No, I think that's it, right? No one else has anything to add. I'd like to adjourn the meeting then.
All right.
All
So
right.
moved.
Well, oh yeah, sorry about that. All in favor? Aye.
I
Adjourn the meeting at 5:35 p.m. on the 23rd of October.